Alright, so this post was originally posted for June 13th for my other class, but since you guys are running just about a week behind them, let's go ahead and take a look at evaluations as you continue to work on your your Essay 1. Sorry, I was just dealing with my 102 class. And so you can scroll back and see this post. So as of today, we've talked all the way up through the analysis, and we did a sample analysis. Now, the very last thing for us to consider before we say get to a conclusion is we do need to consider our evaluation. Now, this definition of evaluation is a clear interpretation or judgment. Your goal in analyzing a text is to lead readers through a careful examination of the text to some kind of interpretation or reasoned judgment, generally announced clearly in the thesis statement. This may mean that you need to go back and revise your thesis statement to work on this, but I think the best way for us to view this is for me to use an example. And so let's take a moment here. This is the Superman one I was doing, and then I'll use one based on roughly on what would be something that you could use when it comes in terms of what you're actually using with regards to Watchmen Chapter 1. So if my thesis statement for my example was, by analyzing Action Comics number 1 by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, we can better understand Superman's roots as a warrior for social justice. So this is what I'm hoping will come out in the introduction, in the summary and analysis. Now, for my evaluation, I need to have three things happen. First of all, I need to pose a question that sets the criteria. My criteria is best set if I rely on that little part that's in green right there, about this idea that I'm hoping the analysis will reveal this sort of forgotten origin surrounding Superman as a warrior of social justice. And now, what the first part is I pose a question very similar vein. It says, does one now see how Superman was originally a social justice warrior? That's the first part. Now I need to answer the question, yes or no. Yes. But that's only the second part. There's one more thing we need to do. We need to back up that yes. We need to cash the check and be able to have the funds in the bank. Okay, so if I'm going to say that, ask this question, do we now see this? And I choose to say yes. I need to be able to back it up with reasoning. So here's what I did. Yes, we can, because a close examination of Action Comics number 1 reveals the ways that Superman was willing to operate outside the law to do what was right. He specifically gets an innocent woman exonerated, pages 6 through 7, stops a man from beating his wife by breaking in to stop him, 8 through 9, saves Lois Lane from gangsters, 10 through 12, and finally he seeks to expose government corruption by kidnapping a government official to make him talk, 4 through 16. All these examples bring into the bright light the ways that Superman sought social justice by operating outside the law to do what was right. Okay? Not my greatest piece of writing, but it serves a point. So you'll notice the three steps. I take this last part of my thesis, I frame it. This is establishing my criteria. My criteria is, can we now see Superman's roots as a social justice warrior? So I'm asking that. It could also be something of, is this a worthwhile read? Is it interesting? Criteria can be anything we want to set it up to be. All right. For you guys, you could be something like, you could pose the question by analyzing Watchmen Chapter 1 by Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons. One is sufficiently hooked in a manner that makes you want to finish the rest of the story. If that's my thesis and I talk about that through my analysis, my evaluation could boil down to, after reading this first chapter, does one feel like it's worthwhile to continue reading the rest of the story? Yes, no. If I said yes, if I said no, the easiest thing would be I'd offer reasons why I think it falls flat. If I said yes, I would want to offer what are the things that presented to me, the things that are designed to, stimulate my senses and make me feel a desire to want to read the rest of it to find out what happened. Something of that nature. So this is something you should be considering working on once you've accomplished the fact of getting together a rough version of your introduction with thesis at the end, summary and analysis. And this only needs to constitute one paragraph. So make sure you're working on that going forward.